this will help.
Okay, maybe this will help. L'chaim. Good morning, everyone. Telling you something. Imagine, imagine we would have never seen the world yet, and this would be our first day. We'll see beautiful world, it's blow our mind, Unbelievable beautiful world. You really have to be God to think of such a beautiful world, just to think of it, to make it. Unbelievable. See, there's two ways of dealing with evil. One way is fight it, and the other way is ignore it. Just doesn't exist. See, the tree of knowledge, the whole thing is, there is so much evil, what do I do? What do I choose? Tree of life says, like some people say God is dead. Maybe your God is dead, mine is alive, Maybe you have to fight evil, I have no problem. Like the tree of life, my problem is not choosing between right and wrong. How can you choose wrong? Why should I choose wrong? What's the problem? And I tell you, on a simple level, imagine, I always tell my friends the same example. Imagine if I would, let's say we all are sitting here, and suddenly someone gets up and tells a dirty joke, stupid, right? And we tell him, no, just fit right now, we're not here to listen to the jokes. You know what that means? That means the greatest acknowledgement of stupidity, right? It means we say there is such a thing as dirty, stupid joke. The only thing is, it doesn't fit right now, right? But imagine if the Baal Shem Tov would be sitting here. Would anybody even think of telling a stupid joke? Because it just doesn't exist, right? So the tree of life doesn't say, you have to choose between good and evil. The tree of life says it just doesn't exist. Basically, there's a difference between Shabbos and the 6th day of the week. Sadly enough, the 6th day of the week, there's something inside of me. I like to say bad things, but trying to control it. Try to get angry, trying to control it. I want to tell you something so bad about my neighbor, I'm just itching to tell you, but in the last moment I'm holding back. Shabbos, I don't have to work. See, Shabbos, if physically I don't work, that also means spiritually, right? Because the spiritual and physical is one, right? Shabbos, I don't have to work. I don't have to exert myself. Anyway, I'm telling you all this because somehow I feel very Shabbostic today. I don't know why. So let's just concern ourselves with the highest things. You want to say something? Not yet. I want to say something at the beginning. Remember the Shabbos we read that Eliezer? Avram's sending Eliezer to find a wife for Yitzchak. And he comes to the well, and there he says, God, begging you. I don't know how to choose a wife for Yitzchak. So you have to do it. But your way of letting me know who it is this way. I'm going to ask the first girl who's coming out, would you like to give me some water? And she would say, not only you, I'd like to give some water also to your camels. So she's the one. Okay, this is mind-blowing, right? Because you have to realize, first of all, Eliezer was a strong man, right? And Rivka was 3 years old. Really should say to him, listen, brother, while you're sick, you can get water yourself. But okay, let's assume, she says, out of friendliness to the man, okay, I'll give you some water. But 120 camels? 120 camels? And it was a big caravan. A big caravan. And they all are standing around idly doing nothing. So she should say, really, brother, I'm really. And not only that he asks her to drink to give water to the camel, she offers on her own. Okay, I'm just telling you this. You know it anyway. Okay, then he asks her, who are you? Said she's Rivka. He goes home and talks to her, and if you remember, her father, Psur, tried to put some poison in Eliezer's cup, and in the last moment he mixed up the cups, so he drank the poison and he died instantly. But this father of Rivka, you know, I don't want to say bad things, on Shabbos, really mamish a murderer, a thief, a gangster, you know, unbelievable, a perverted person. Anyway, so Lavan, who's successor in every trick of the world, he tries to, he says, you know, she's only 3 years old, let her stay another 100 years here, maybe then she'll go. Anyway, Eliezer insists it has to be now or never, right now, right this second. So a Yidel in my shoe asked me, no, simply Yidel, I mean, really, what's the hurry? She's 3 years old. So because I just found here, Tzidkas Tzaddik, I just want to share this with you, it's good to know. There are moments when you have to go all the way, don't wait a second. Do the whole thing right this minute. There are times when you say, you know, take my time. A little bit today, a little bit tomorrow, a little bit. You don't. Even an apple tree doesn't grow from one day to the other. It takes. God created the world in 6 days, right? Let's put it this way. I meet this girl, I love her very much, and I walk up to her and I said, listen, I want to marry you. It's beautiful, it's crazy, you know. She says, I don't even know your name. I don't know who you are, when you are, you know. First, let's get to know each other. Then you'll ask me to marry you. But let me tell you something. There are times when you meet someone you love very much, you walk up to them and say, I want to marry you. So when is when? So the answer is very simple. Anything which is you're doing, take your time. Anything which is not you doing. Mamish, you see God is opening gates? Then do the whole thing right now. God is opening gates. What are you holding back? Not only you shouldn't hold back, if you hold back, you're destroying the whole plan of God. You know, when you see something happens to you and it's just coming down from heaven, right? Imagine it's raining, and suddenly you say, hey, rain, wait, hold it, come back tomorrow. What do you mean? God is opening the gates, it's raining, you know? Take it in. See, Eliezer, if you remember the story, he left Friday morning because everybody knows which night was it that he met Rivka by the well. Could have been any other night but Friday night. Couldn't have been another night. Friday night, before Shabbos. Can you imagine the most unbelievable thing? That what kind of holiness Rivka went down to get some water for Shabbos? Unbelievable. Okay, the first girl, he asked her, can you give me some water? And she says, you know, mamish, all the gates of heaven are open. What's there to wait? Sister, no, I want to take her right now. It's like, to marry. That's it. Right now. Right this second. I want to tell you something, you know, from my heart to your heart. Historically, I don't know, you know, we Jewish people goofed off a lot of times, you know. Like after the 6-Day War, all the gates of heaven were open, right? God gives us back Yerushalayim. We haven't been in Yerushalayim for 2,000 years, right? So let's go all the way. Let's get together. Let's build the Holy Temple. Let's all go back, and instead of sending out Abba Yaban as a messenger to the world, let's send out some holy people. Mamish, let's say, let there be peace in the world. The world was ready for it at that moment. Right? The world was ready. So we goofed off. I'm sure we goofed off a lot of times. But the goofing off was that we thought, you know, let's go step by step. I'll tell you something very deep. I'm sure that a lot of people who got divorced, there must have been one moment Then God opened all the gates. Not only they could have made it, they maybe could have been the most loving couple in the world. Maybe. There has to be one moment, right? But it was such an awesome moment. You see, our problem is we always run away when it's getting too good, you know. We're running away when it's getting too good. We cannot permit ourselves to go back to paradise, you know. We like it so much in hell. Some of you kids remember 2 years from the Holy Sons. The problem is, how do you get the people out of hell? They like it. They like it. And if you send them back to paradise, they don't mind going up there for weekends, you know, but they want to go back Monday to do their work in hell, you know. Like, I tell you something, a Hebrew school teacher told me that he taught them about the exodus of Egypt, that there were slaves and they were just, you know, beaten to death, downhearted, and then God took them out of Egypt. So one boy says, how could they leave? They had a job. I mean, this is what they were taught at home, you know. I mean, you have a job in hell. What's going on there, you know? I want to share something very deep with you, you know. You know, when God said to Abraham, go to the land, going is step by step. Right? And then also told him, go through the land, going is step by step, right? Slow. Then he says to the land which I will show you is one time. Show you the whole land. Moshe Rabbeinu, when he stood on the mountain and God told him, I'll let you see the land, was like on the level of Mashiach. You know, when Mashiach is coming, it won't be step by step. You know, when the Messiah is coming, you will not say, first, let's be in Palo Alto. Next week, the Messiah will come in New York. Then we have plans for the Messiah also to come to Atlanta. And then to Miami Beach, you know, Ms. Rose Cohn will be the chairman for the Mashiach reception committee. And I might give a concert there, you know, emceeing the Messiah, you know. When he's coming, right? Very strange. But Yaakov was very strange. When he met Rachel, it was unbelievable, right? It was even higher than Rivka. Because Eliezer met Rivka and he brought her to Yitzchak. Yaakov, it was mamish. He met Rachel. Have you heard anything so crazy? He had never seen the girl before. He walks up to her and kisses her and says, let's get married. Unbelievable. Because it was mamish like Yaakov was like after Mashiach had come. But then, till the wedding, was like going through exile, right? 7 years. 7 years. Counting every day. Anyway, the greatest thing is we should always know when to do the whole thing and when to go slow. What does Elaine say? Yeah? Chaim. Okay, come back fast because we're waiting for you, brother. Sorry, so Mel comes back. I don't know if I told it to you already, it's not. You know the Sea of Lublin, everybody knows the Sea of Lublin? Lived about 160 years ago. Really saw from one corner of the world to the other. And the Sea of Lublin had something very special. That he was so holy, you know. He could, well, he was so sensitive, you know. Imagine he would lie, he would go to sleep on a bed. And if, God forbid, maybe someone was lying on this bed, didn't have the holiest thoughts, he would jump up and say, "Oi!" you know, it hurts, you know. Physically, it hurt him. So whenever he would travel, I mean, how would you feel if the Holy Lublina lies on your bed and he jumps up and says, oh, it hurts? You'd be embarrassed like a fella, right? Who needs it? So people decided, whenever the Lublina comes, we'll make a new bed, you know, let's make a new bed. I don't care, you know. I don't want to go through this embarrassment, you know. Anyway, so listen to this. This is an authentic story heard in Baba. So, the Heilige Rabbi Yosef, the Heilige Rabbi Yosef of, it was Rabbi Yosef, I don't remember the name, not Kavlev, that was a town in Russia. He was the son of Ramotel and Shchize. And the Lublina came to visit him. So he decided, Mamish, you know, I'm not going through this, you know, I'm afraid as much. It was really the holy of holiest. He says, I'll get myself a wood chopper, but listen to this. The wood chopper had to be holy. Otherwise, if God forbid, while he was chopping the wood, he didn't have holy thoughts, he'd feel it also. He got himself a Chassidish Yidel who goes to the mikveh. He went to the forest, cut some wood, and each day before he worked, he would go to the mikveh, and he'd make a mamish bed for the holy Lublina. So he says, thank God, I don't have to worry about this. The Lublina comes, and the Heilig Rabbi Yosef Kavler tells him, Holy Lublina, I want you to know I made a special new bed for you. Okay, Baruch Shem, he says, the Lublina says, you know, I really have to sleep, I'm so tired, you know. Because Lublina to Kavler is maybe 2 or 3 weeks traveling with a horse and a wagon, you know, shuckling like mad the whole time. Okay, the greatest thing happens. The Lublina lies on this bed. He jumps and, oh, it's stecht, you know. How do you say it's stecht?
Sticky.
It's
poking.
Pokes.
Yeah, pokes. Yeah. But pokes doesn't sound the same like stechen, you know. It's like knives that are like getting right into my heart.
Stabs.
Stabs, yeah, that's the word. Okay, you know, the Rabbi Yosef doesn't know what to do anymore, what I'm going to do now, you know. He says to him, Rebbe, it can't be, you know, nobody has ever been lying on this bed. He says, tell me the truth. When did this carpenter make the bed? They call the carpenter, and they find out he made it in the 3 weeks when we are in mourning over the destruction of the temple. Levina says, now I understand. He says, I can't stand sadness. There was so much sadness. He put it into this bed, I couldn't stand it. Unbelievable. You can imagine what level of sensitivity, you know. Anyway, what are you going to do now? Lublina has to sleep somewhere, you know. So Rabbi Yosef says, Holy Lublina, you know, I'll tell you the truth. I'm afraid to offer you my bed, you know. I'm afraid. Lublina says, give me a fighting chance, you know, I got to sleep somewhere, you know. Okay, the Lublina lies down on the holy covenant bed and says, oh, it's so good, it's so good, it's so good. Okay, the Kavla had a little boy who was called after his grandfather, Ramotel, who later on was also a big Rebbe. He was 9 years old. He was a very, very, very holy boy, you know. He was, Mama, she liked the Lublina so much, you know. I'm sure you're aware of it, you know. There were some rabbis who thought you only need a holy master when you're 20. Truth is, remind me later when I tell you about this. Klein was coming, he says, when you're 5 years old, you already need a soul master. From the age of 5, you must have a rabbi. Okay, so this boy was ready for having a rabbi. So he was like following the Lublina all around. At night, Lublina is sitting there learning, and he has like a little candle learning, and the candle, you know, the wick is just turning over, you know, and you have to cut off the wick a little bit, otherwise it'll burn out the candle. So, why are you darling? So the Lublina, so Rabbi Yosef says to his son, Mordchele, do me a favor. He is like, I have a very special kind of scissor, which my father, the Heilige Neshchide, would use to cut the wig when it's, you know, when it's burning up and it's killing over a little bit. He says, bring it to the Lublina. Okay, you know, Ramotele tiptoes in, And Holy Lublina has some books lying on the table he's learning, and he puts this scissor on the table. Lublina goes unconsciously because he's learning, but his reflexes. So Holy goes there and throws it off the table. So he thinks maybe, I don't know, picks it up, puts it on again, Lublina puts it on. After he did it 3 times, obviously it's for real. So Motele thought, maybe it's because I'm not holy, who knows? With Lublina, it's awesome. You never know what you're dealing with. Anyway, so he comes to his father and he's crying. He says, I don't know, I put this, whatever it's called, the scissor, and Lublina's throwing it off all the time. So Rabbi Yosef says, I'll go in and ask, push it. He goes in, when he came in, Lublina was aware that he's coming in. He says, Rabbi Yosef. He says, I have to ask you a question, Holy Lublina. My son Motele was trying to put the scissor on your table so you should be able to cut the wig. And you're always throwing it off. He says, don't you understand, he says. A person has to be every split second aware that there's one God. When you cut the wig, you have to concentrate very, very, very much to cut the wig at the right place. And at that split second when you cut the wig, you cannot be completely aware that there's one God. So I never cut wigs. So he says to him, so the Heilige Rabbi Yosele says to Motele, to the Lublina, but really he says, Holy Lublina, believe me, this is the scissor with which my father would cut wigs. And everybody knows the Heilige Motele in the Shchise. Lublina says, who can compare himself to your father? Your father could concentrate on anything in the world, and yet he would not forget for one split second there's one God. There's another beautiful story. The Baal Shem Tov, the Baal Shem Tov, there's a passage in the Psalms that says, Shivisi Hashem l'negdi summit. How would you say in English, Shivisi Hashem l'negdi summit? I place God before me every second, right? Like Mamash, I have God's name in front of me every second. So there's the holy Baal Shem Tov was in Ostra. Ostra is a city in Poland. Some of you know Hebrew or Yiddish. Chassidim would call it Ois Torah, the sign of the Torah, Ostra, Ois Torah. Okay, so the Baal Shem Tov was in Ois Torah, Ostra, and there he wrote on a little parchment, Shivisi Hashem l'negdi summit. And when he would talk to people, he would roll it around his finger, sit like this, and talk to people, and nobody pays attention what you have rolled around your finger, while a piece of paper, piece of parchment, and the whole time he would hold it around his finger. Obviously this was at the beginning of his, because later on I'm sure the Baal Shem Tov didn't need parchments to remind him there's one God, but at the beginning that was his thing. He had something rolled around his finger and he would sit like this, and while he would talk to people he would always have this parchment over his finger to remind him that there's one God. And this was a very holy piece of parchment, Gewalt, the Holy Baal Shem Tov wrote with his own hand. So, at one time, but in the meantime, Ostra, during the time of the Baal Shem Tov, he had some holy pupils there, Rabbi Yewe and Rabbi Pinus Kotz and some other. Later on, became a Misnagdische city, that means anti-Baal Shems were living there. It was not a Chassidische city anymore. But one time, the Lublina, the holy Lublina came to Ostra. He had to be there for one reason or the other. So the rabbi of the city, Emes Nagid in Antai, decided, I'd love to test the Lublina if he is really so holy like everybody says. So he manufactured another little parchment, and he had somebody copy exactly, they thought maybe he knows about Shem Tov's handwriting, copy exactly, and fooled around a little bit to make it with more crease, it should look old. He says when the Lublina comes, I'll give him the old one. When he blows his mind, this new one, if he says, oh, it's so holy, then I know he's a fake, right? Okay, so Lublina comes to this rabbi, let's say for dinner, and Lublina says, no, show me already this holy Baal Shem Tov's parchment. So the rabbi says to the Shabbos, okay, bring in the parchment. So they bring in the parchment, they put it on the table, and Lublina ignores it, keeps on top of the paper. Not the real parchment, right? So the rabbi of Ostra says to Lublina, Holy Lublina, I brought you in the parchment of the Baal Shem. He doesn't say anything, keeps on talking. Maybe he does now, Finally, after doing this for 10 times, how far can you go? Obviously, it's not it, right? So he says to the Shammos to give them Stillheit, carry this out, because I don't want to embarrass myself before other people. Carry this out and put the real one on the plate and bring it in. Mamish, he walks out, brings the real one in. All the Lublina, Mamish gets red in the face. Mamish burning up. Absolutely burning up. Oh, he says, ha, 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 ah. Oh, what a handwriting, Wow. So then he said to the Rabbi of Osterha, let me tell you something. Everybody knows, he says, that Rab Moshe Leb Shabbos, there was two Rab Moshe Leb Shabbos, a Talmud of Rabbi Melech, and there was a Rab Moshe Leb Shabbos, was at the time of the Holy Baal Shem. I want you to know that Rab Moshe Leb Shabbos wrote the Parshas of Tefillin. How would you know the Parshas of Tefillin? You know that film we wear in the morning, in your head, on your arm?
4 sections of the Tefillin.
So it has also little parchments, and one little portion of the Bible is written on it. So he says that Rab Moshe Leb Shabbos wrote a Parsha of Tefillin Shorosh for the Holy Baal Shem. Think about, right? So he says, my holy master Rabbi Melech came to visit somebody, and this Yidele supposedly had this Parsha written by Rab Moshe Leb Shabbos for the Baal Shem. So the person brings it in, and Rabbi Melech looks at it, and he says, do me a favor. What's going on there? What do I do now?
This plug is still here. This? No.
Yeah, it's on?
No. Oh. Okay.
So he says, so they bring in the Parsha, and the Rabbi Melech says, do me a favor, can somebody maybe bring me in a Sefer Torah from Shul? A real Sefer Torah, a real Holy Scroll. So Rabbi Melech takes this portion, which was a fake, right? He looks at it, he opens the Sefer Torah, he looks in the Sefer Torah and to the Holy Scroll, and Mamish burns up, looks here, nothing. He looks again, he does it a few times. He says, okay, show me the real one. So he says, I'll tell you something. I want you to know, when I see God's name written in holiness, Mamish, my spine begins to shake. My whole being begins to shake. So he says, when you brought in this portion of Rab Moshe, which was written by a fake, right? I saw God's name written and I didn't ship it. So I thought, maybe, God forbid, I'm so unholy that I don't feel it anymore. It's possible. So I told you, bring me in a Torah, right? And let me see. When I see God's name written, if it still gets to me. So I tried it a few times. I saw when I see God's name written, it gets to me. So I realized it's a fake. So Lublina says to the unholy Rabbi of Austria, I want you to know, my dear Rabbi, he says, how to read God's name I received from my holy master Rabbi Melech. The next time he says, don't pull tricks on us. Mazel tov. I need some more coffee. You think it's possible? But then I want you to go out. Does it take long? How long would it take you?
Months. 1 month.
Because we wait, we'll sing a song in the meantime. Till Holy Lane is coming. But you know what I want to tell you is, not only God's name, you know. When someone tells you the truth, it should make you shiver. Because isn't the truth God's name? Every word which is uttered in truth is God's name. And you know, it's so beautiful if God blesses somebody still to feel the difference between a lie and the truth. The truth is so good, right? A lie doesn't exist. What's a lie? It's not there, right? There's nothing to get excited about. It just isn't there, right? You know what Rav Nachman says, a Gewalt Teurele? Nachman says a Gewalt Teurele. Do you know how a lie is operating? On 90% truth. Listen to this. I'll tell you now, I walked up barefoot to the moon. So how much of this sentence is a lie? I'm existing is true. The moon exists is true. I have feet is true. I can walk barefoot is true. Only that little part, walking up to the moon barefoot, is a lie. So he says, because the little truth which is in this, you know, makes you believe in it, and it covers, therefore, but he says, if you could say one whole sentence, a lie, nobody would listen. Because they would know it's a lie. It's only because even the lie is operating at so much truth. You know, that's why. It's a Gewalt Teurele, you know. I want you to know something very deep. That you think that the opposite of the truth is a lie. Most of the times, we're not lying. But it's still not the truth. The truth is more than not being a lie. The truth is something so holy, so divine, so godly. It's just the deepest depth there is. You know, there's a Teurele like this. You know, a lie doesn't exist, right? So when you hear a lie, it's empty. Then let's say you hear something, it's not a lie, it's not the truth yet. Okay, it sounds, but it doesn't fill your soul. Sometimes you hear something, Mamish, Oz Yemola is Chayei. You know, I want you to know there's very deep stuff and rest of all over. Sometimes you utter words and your whole mouth is filled with the words you're uttering. They're not only coming out from your lips, they're coming out from your whole mouth. And sometimes they're just, you know, your lips are forming certain letters, certain vowels, certain sounds, and it's coming out. But it's not the truth. The truth is, you know, at one time, Chayei-Sarah, one of the greatest in the world, you know, I wish we would have time, Mel and I, to tell you stories about this. There were some great rabbis, you know, it was so special. Just to give you an idea, Rabbi Chayei-Sarah, he would go to the mikveh every night, 12 o'clock, to immerse himself in pure water, and then he would recite prayers, cry over the destruction of the temple, destruction of the world. Then he would sit and learn. One time I was very, very sick. And this Rabbi Chayei-Sarah had the key to the mikveh. Peace! What's going on there? Where were you last night? Wait for you like a dope. I still am a dope. How are you doing? What's going on?
Fine. How are you? Oh, we just.
What happened? Come here fast. How are you doing? What's going on? Missed you like mad.
Oh! You wanted the cowboy class. You're here, I don't
So
believe
you coming
it.
to Portland? You have reservation on the same flight, Western?
We're hoping
Western, 2
Western
o'clock, right?
2:05, yeah.
Got it.
We got it!
We did it.
Where was I? Strong. Anyway, so he was very sick. So his children insisted, say, we just won't let you go. It's cold water and it was mamish in a well and you have to go down like in a cellar. So they took away the key. Because really they thought we got to force our father. He's sick, he has fever, he has no right to endanger his life like this. So Rabbi Akiva Eiger, exactly a few minutes before 12, he's walking around looking for the key. And the children swore to each other, we're not giving him the key even if he's begging us, because we just have to watch over him. So he says to his children, where's the key? They say, no, we didn't find it, we didn't see it, and they walk around pretending to look at it. Suddenly there's knocking on the door, and so Gregor opens the window, and someone says, oh, here's the key to the mikveh. So if Elijah the prophet comes specially to bring him a key, tough man, right? So at one time he was talking and learning to the Nesivos, also very high, unbelievable high. So then they were talking, they had a little disagreement. So the Nesivos says one thing, or Gregor says something else. Suddenly the Nesivos gets up and says, Gregor, you're right. So Rabbi Akiva said like this, you think that's what he said was not true? It was also true. But he says, the Nesivos is so holy, he knows the fineness between not being not true and between really true. It's sometimes you hear something and it's not a lie, it's true. But it's not really true. It's not really true. And this is so fine. And it's the highest thing if you can. God blesses somebody to have this, this fineness, to know the difference between this. It's a deep thing, Not only in learning, especially, take the world today. So many people tell you how to serve God, do this, do this. It's all beautiful, right? None of them is lying. And yet sometimes you have a feeling, I'd like to hear, something more, It's not a lie, it's beautiful. But I haven't heard yet the truth. You see, do you think people, when we stood on Mount Sinai and God told us, I'm the Lord your God, we didn't know that God is there before? We knew. Abraham told us. The whole world knows there's one God. But you know what happens to you when God tells it to you? It's really the truth. It's really the truth. You think all the people who kill don't know that you shouldn't kill? They still kill. But you know what happened to us when we heard it on Mount Sinai? It really was the truth. It's really the truth. Chaim. Okay, after this whole thing, now we got a mamish learn. 2 ways about it. Now we have time.